The NBA community just cannot believe what has surfaced. A shocking report has revealed that before the blockbuster trade that sent Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis, there was another storyline developing behind the scenes. A storyline that could have rewritten everything we know about this league. According to multiple insiders, the Boston Celtics were not only contacted by Los Angeles, but were directly offered Anthony Davis in the middle of last season. That is right. Anthony Davis in green and white was not just a fantasy of fans. It was a legitimate possibility that went under the radar while the world focused on Dallas. If you want to stay ahead of every major NBA revelation like this one, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button right now so you never miss a shocker like this again. Here is where things get even more intriguing. The timeline of this negotiation puts everything in a new light. While the Dallas Mavericks were in complete crisis mode, ultimately leading to the firing of general manager Nico Harrison earlier this week after a disastrous season start, Los Angeles was working the phones and testing every possible exit strategy from the Anthony Davis era. Reports confirmed that multiple teams received calls from the Lakers front office. However, one team stood out: the Boston Celtics. Sources revealed that Los Angeles and Boston held not just one, but multiple conversations during the evaluation process. There was no momentum toward an immediate deal, and nothing was close to being finalized, but the communication was clear enough to raise massive curiosity. Boston did not shut the door. They sent a message with only 5 words that changed the entire perception inside the Lakers headquarters. "We will keep it in mind." That sentence changed everything. The Celtics did not reject the idea of pairing Anthony Davis with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They did not walk away. They stayed observant and receptive while keeping their options open for the summer. And that detail is consistent with history. Boston was one of the top contenders for Davis back in 2019 when he was traded from the New Orleans Pelicans. Now the revelation that they came close again paints a completely new version of how last season could have unfolded. Imagine how the power rankings, the finals projections, and the entire Eastern Conference landscape would look right now if Boston had decided to make a real push. And this is where the story becomes even more dangerous for the future of the league. If the Celtics were willing to consider Anthony Davis once, even lightly, should we assume they would not revisit the idea in the near future? Are the Lakers still monitoring Boston as a potential destination if the partnership with Luka Doncic does not produce immediate results? Could the Celtics once again find themselves in the mix if an elite opportunity emerges during the summer? The speculation is not only logical but unavoidable, because one single decision changed the path of 3 franchises at once. The question that every NBA fan should be asking now is simple. What if Boston quietly prepares to make the move that Los Angeles secretly hoped for in the first place? The universe is trying to process one of the most unexpected revelations of the season. Multiple reports now confirm that the Boston Celtics secretly opened conversations to acquire Anthony Davis long before the Los Angeles Lakers sent him to the Dallas Mavericks for Luka Doncic. This was not rumor. This was not fan speculation. It happened quietly and strategically in the early months of last season, while the public had no idea that Boston was testing the possibility of bringing a 10-time All-Star to a roster already chasing another championship. The new information from insider Brett Siegel confirms that the Lakers began contacting teams well before the mid-season trade deadline. And among every organization that received that call, one answer stood out. The Celtics held multiple conversations with Los Angeles to evaluate the price for Anthony Davis. There was no formal momentum. There was no negotiation table. But there was interest strong enough to encourage the Lakers front office to continue monitoring Boston as a realistic trade partner. Sources reveal that Brad Stevens and the Celtics front office sent a short response that changed everything. They said they were receptive to the idea. They did not close the door. They did not walk away from a superstar opportunity. The curious part is that the Celtics had every reason to consider the move. They were coming off their 2024 championship run. Their core of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Kristaps Porzingis looked untouchable. Yet the possibility of adding Anthony Davis was attractive enough to stay on the radar regardless of how solid the roster already appeared. That context becomes even more relevant when injuries derailed Boston shortly after. Porzingis missed long stretches. Tatum went down with an Achilles problem. The Celtics were eliminated in the second round, and suddenly the approach of staying the course looked much more painful than expected. That situation is what brought the topic right back to the center of NBA discussions this week on the Club 520 podcast. Jeff Teague and the panel debated whether Dallas should reset everything now that general manager Nico Harrison is gone. They went further by pointing to Boston as the scariest possible destination for Anthony Davis if the Mavericks lose confidence in their current project. The idea was not dismissed. It was analyzed. The panel mentioned names. Derek White was consistently presented as the key trade chip in a Davis scenario. Peyton Pritchard and others were mentioned as add-ins, while everyone agreed that Boston would protect both Tatum and Brown at all costs. And now the urgency is here. Boston already opened the door once. Dallas is evaluating its roster. The Lakers originally wanted the Celtics as their preferred trade partner. All the pieces are in motion, and every insider confirms that another opportunity is possible. The only question that matters now is the one that the league is afraid to ask. If Boston secretly started negotiations once, what happens if they decide to finish the job this time? Before você continuar assistindo, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and click the hype button right now so you do not miss the next chapter of this developing storyline.